Hello, and welcome to a brief stream here in the middle of the afternoon because big news in the Lotro world today, which is why I'm hosting on the official, because why the heck not? We're going to use my kin hall, my kin house on Tal Falthui on Landraval, because I want a background music, and what better background music to use than stuff that my good and dear friend Bill Champagne has written. Oh my gosh, my hair is all over the place. All right, fam, let's do it. Producer's letter. We're going to cover up the screen. Boop. And wait, before we do that, we're going to do it anyway because he's right here. Cat. Official cat of Lotro Stream. Okay, let's see, what else do we need to get rid of here? Cat, you are all over the place. Let's get that out of the way. Hi. Thief Kitty. Lotro Stream. Okay. Anyway, let's go over the producer's letter published today, of all days. And let me see if I can make this actually work right, because this is in the middle of it. There we go. Let's make this in big end. Oh, you are being a silly thing, aren't you, today? Okay, that's fine. We can still read it. All right, let's go over the producer's letter published this morning on Lotro.com. I'm going to post the link in chat for those who want it later on if you watch the VOD. Boop. And if you go to the official Lotro stream, you can also access that producer's letter by doing !producer. You can't do it on my channel because I don't have any slots available for it. But anyway, let's go over the letter, and yes, my logo will cover it up, and that's fine. Alright, let us scroll down. So, written by Mr. Rob Ciccolini, executive producer of Lord of the Rings Online and also Dungeons & Dragons Online. So, basically, he is teasing, first of all, the 14th anniversary is coming up starting next month in April, which means there will probably be some cool anniversary stream with a... We don't know the details, but I know I will be asking Cord to see if he can get some of the other SSG devs on the stream, at least to say hi, and maybe do a brief talk about maybe what they're doing. Speaking of, there is a stream later this afternoon, so those who are watching asynchronously, that's going to be irrelevant. Scenario, aka Matt Elliott, aka one of the longest tenured members of the Standing Stone team. He took a little break for a while, but he came back because, you know. He's going to be doing a stream featuring Angmar, and that will be this afternoon at 3 o'clock. It's now 1 o'clock, so 2 hours from now, just shy of. That will be here over there on the official Lotro channel. But in the meantime, let's go over this. So, 14th anniversary, which means next year it gets its learner's permit. And anniversary event is really big. There's a big event in Bree. There's a big event at the Party Tree, the scavenger hunt at the Party Tree. I might actually go and do some more of the stuff because I hadn't really touched it the past couple years. It's also where you can get the /toast emote from envelopes in Bree. You can get a plethora of cosmetics from the scavenger hunt at the Party Tree, which will have you running all over Middle Earth. So first big update of 2021 was teased last week. That would be next week. No time travel involved, unlike the title of the producer letter, which is February. Bearing in mind it's the 10th of March, and guess what? Localization's a thing. So I ain't too worried about it. So, the Wildwood of Breeland is the official name of this new content update. As far as we know, it's going to be free to VIPs. We haven't heard what the price is going to be yet for premium and free-to-play accounts. We'll find out when they publish it. Maybe that's a good question to ask Cordovan on Friday during Court of the Rings. I can pretty much tell you that Scenario will not know the answer to that question if you decide to ask him in a couple hours' time. Okay, the long teased wilderness between Breland and Evenham. Long teased because I asked Scenario myself 2 years ago about the Wildwood, and because it wasn't last year, because it was pre-COVID last year, my visit to Standing Stone, but no, actually I think it was it just seems forever ago. But anyway, his comment about it was no comment, but now he's gonna have he had lots of comments about it last week or the week before on his Wildwood preview stream on Lotro stream. So the hope is, if these go well, that maybe a couple more of the devs may want to do the same thing, or Scenario will keep doing this. Because I know, while Angmar won the poll, he put a poll up, and Angmar won the poll. There was a lot of interest for him to tour Forchel and also the Shire. So that'll be cool. Alright, so 2 factions in the Wildwood, aiming to use the land for their own purposes. It's kind of like the Ale League and the Inn Association, except they're not openly fighting each other. So this will be not only the first time that they've done a non-level cap content update, this will also be the first time they're using these dynamic camps, that where if somebody goes in and kills all the mobs in a camp, when they respawn a few minutes later, there'll be a different kind of mob. So that's kind of cool. So that's supposed to be coming out this month here in March. Now, Cord did say that they were looking at publishing it next week, but we don't know for sure. Again, that's a good question to ask Cordovan on Friday. And so this will be really cool for those who are at level cap. You're going to go in there, lay waste to the lands. It'll be fine. I will warn you, there are wandering level 47 something elites. So you might want to watch out for them. Just saying. There's some cool deeds to kill some named mobs that show up once. It honestly feels a little bit like a... to comment on something from the other game, it feels a lot like the... a wilderness adventure in the other game, in DDO, where you go and you kill certain mobs, and there's also a thing where you kill certain rare mobs, and then you get a chest or something out of it, but I don't recall if we have that here in Wildwood. So, also, looking forward to the Spring Festival in March. If you've been keeping an eye on the events calendar, that is due to launch on March 18th. And Cord was... teasing some of the new things, like he was looking forward to some of the cosmetics, as one always does. I wish I could have more cosmetic storage. However, mine is already messed up, and you know that's a thing. All right. So beyond that, the next thing in the Spring Festival. They're saying they're adding a new festivity to the event, featuring a guest appearance by Grimbjorn himself. I mean, if his offspring can wander all over Middle-earth, so can he. And of course, we all know, if you've played the Midsummer Festival last year, you know Grimbjorn made an appearance at Minas Tirith, which is a freaking long way to travel. But honestly, I'm told the food was amazing. And of course, Grimbjorn would be very much interested in the culinary delights of the capital of Gondor. No, he wouldn't care about the capital of Gondor. He'd care about the culinary delights. Come on. All right, new 6-player boss from the vaults, Naruhel the Red Maid, which is actually really interesting to me because you can't see my quest log right now, but the Red Maid instance is actually on my quest log from my new series, The Catch-Up Completionist, where I'm going back to do all of the old content I never did on my main here. So good times. So great cosmetics and other rewards coming. We should take a speculation on what the new... Well, if you've been on Bull Roar, which is open right now, you probably will know what the new cosmetic rewards are going to be. In fact, you know what we could do? While this is going on, I'm going to patch Bull Roar, and we might go take a look afterwards. So that'll be fun. So it says, a short time after the Wildwood update, we are planning to release the first of our further adventures. Now, this was something that Severlin teased last year. When was it last year? Whenever the hell it was. Actually, no, he was teasing this at PAX last year. So this was a year ago. Because PAX was the last weekend of February, and we were like, oh my god, it's going to be so damn cold in Boston. It was. And let's see. So this is going to use the mission system tech to explore new stories involving major and minor characters in Middle Earth. So this is cool. So they're going big right out of the gate with their first one is going to involve Bilbo Baggins. So Maid of Lions has been a busy boy, and I don't know anybody who dislikes his content. I mean, he's like one of the most popular devs that hardly anybody has anything negative to say about him. And yeah, he's one of the most excited people to work. I mean, having seen the guy in person talk about his work, and he's like literally bouncing in his chair, ready to tell people all the cool stuff he's been working on. Having that kind of enthusiasm, you need that, especially for the person who's driving your story. Whereas you've got Chris Pearson, amazing gentleman, very knowledgeable. He could probably take on Professor Corey, Stephen Colbert, and anybody else. And Professors Mike Trout, Tom Shippey, and Professor Corey, as I said, in a Tolkien trivia contest and stand his ground and do very well. He also doesn't bounce up and down with excitement that I've ever seen while talking about the cool stuff that he's working on. He's more the curmudgeon and laid back and not really, that's why he doesn't have a cool forum nickname like Maid of Lions is Jeff Libby. And Chris is just like, I'm just going to do my thing over here and it's fine. And we love him to bits because he's the one who's the Standing Stone lore master. I say Ari, like I don't work there. Having a lore master that intense, make sure that they're keeping the story. If it's not the story, like you take the stuff from the book and directly translate it into a quest, as opposed to what they're doing now, which is expanding on it, but staying true to the content or to the thematic. It's Tolkienian, right? It could have been written by Tolkien himself. But anyway, let's move on. So further adventures. So if the one with Bilbo goes well, then they're going to do some more later in the year. And they're asking for us to suggest characters we'd like to see in these narrative missions. So if there's anybody you want to see, Rosie Cotton, Tom... Well, I don't think they're going to do any of the hobbits from the Shire in terms of scouring of the Shire sort of stuff. I would be surprised because they haven't got to that story. But when the scouring eventually comes to Lord Lotro, I can see them doing some stories in that nature. But who would you like to see be the star of a further adventure? Well, we just had a whole bunch of dwarf content. We just had, hobbits would be a good one with Bilbo. We could go back and do some Rohirric stuff, possibly. Maybe the further adventures of Eomer King or something would be kind of interesting. But I think maybe a focus on one of the men. Because, again, we just had a whole bunch of dwarf content that's still going to go on for a while. Because, again, as it'll be going on further in this thing. Summer brings update 30, the blood of Azog to Lotro. War of Three Peaks continues. Durin Stomhelmson prepares to lead the Gabal Ika beyond the frozen gates of Mount Gundabad. I love the facade of Mount Gundabad because the orcs and the goblins have not defaced it that much. So basically, more dwarves, more happiness there, and I really need to get my stout axes and regular dwarves leveled up to play in that better. So we will discover the tale of Hermoth Stormhammer, a hero of the Battle of Zanulbazar. A Boromir prequel? Sam, that would be cool. Boromir holding Osgiliath and doing missions there, that would be kind of neat. That would be true. Or even a story featuring Boromir and Faramir as brothers, right? How their father would treat them. We could see that. We could see that dynamic. That would be kind of cool. All right. So it says we'll experience important moments in the history of Durin's folk firsthand, such as the taking of the Oakenshield, which means we'll get Thorin Oakenshield again in game, because of course Thorin is in game already. Well, not just his tomb, which players will get to visit as part of the Black Book of Mordor, but if you ever start a regular dwarf character, not a stout axe, and play through the original intro quest, the one that you can stop going through, like the tutorial. I'm not talking like the starting instance. I mean the tutorial before the starting instance. It's like the prequel to the prequel. That one features you seeing Thorin off on his adventure to go visit a certain soon-to-be-named burglar. And the naming of the Dour Hands of Gormir Dourhand as the person leading Thorin's gate while Thorin's away. But it sounds like the taking of the Oakenshield, update 30, if it says we'll experience some of, like, the Battle of Azaz-Nobazar, that does sound a bit excessive to be just a session play. It does sound like we might actually get maybe a series of vignettes, like the Battle of Pelennor, but it's the Battle of Azaz-Nobazar. That might be cool. Actually, it would be cool because the Battle of Pelennor was basically Standing Stone, then Turbine going, epic battles kind of suck. Let's do this instead, and it worked so much better. All right, so that's kind of nifty. And so the death of Azog, a very seminal event in the history of the orcs and the dwarves. The ever-present danger of Durin's Bane. Ooh, Balrog. Because, of course, if we're taking a tiptoe through the tulips of past history of this, previous incident with the death, the battle, is Durin's Bane was still alive at that point. So there'd be some rumblings. But, of course, Durin's Bane couldn't really reveal itself, could it? Because people knew Durin's Bane was there, sort of, but it wasn't, awakened. Or maybe Standing Stone has found a way to make an appearance, but not really be a huge thing that would have warned Gandalf not to go there. Don't go in there. So update 30 in the summer will feature a new interlude. New quests, new missions, and a new raid in a quest pack that will be free to VIPs. They have not, of course, announced the price for premium and free-to-play accounts. I would imagine it would be on a par with any other quest pack that got released that's not a full expansion and not a mini expansion. So that's the thing. So, next full expansion in Update 31, Gundabad. So that's coming in the fall. They're keeping it quiet for the moment. Players Council probably knows all about it, but that's the Players Council for you. And that will conclude the story of the Legacy of Durin and the Trials of the Dwarves. Okay, so that's interesting. So that makes you wonder what's next after that. I don't know. So let's think about that. Because they still have Aragorn and Éomer need to clean house in the south. That does lead to the possibility that we could eventually get something involving Umbar, Khand. I want to know what happens in Rhûn, or what is going on in Rhûn as to why the Easterlings were coming to the west as refugees. Because we don't know. There's something about a plague or some sort of terror, messing with things. So that's interesting. So after that, they did mention the legendary words of Anor in Ithil. One thing they didn't mention here is the fate of Ithil. Ithil has been the least populated server of all time. Well, in Lotro, it has languished as the least populated, least active server, but yet they have not mentioned anything about whether it's going to stick around. This seems to imply that Ithil is going to just continue being the quiet one. So they're bringing the wastes to the legendary servers in April, which is going to raise the level cap to 105 and bring everything to, and they say that's it here next month in April, before Debut and Mordor itself in August. Now, here's the curious thing. It says, depending on what happens, we could be bringing the Grey Mountains to the worlds late in the year. Okay, so that assumes all goes well and they don't have to switch schedules around for the Wastes and then Mordor. The Grey Mountains was... Are they talking about Mirkwood, the Iron Hills, and the Grey Mountains all in one fell swoop? Because, I mean, it sounds like it. Does it sound like that to you? It sounds like... I mean, that's a lot of content. That was like 3 whole updates. Because Northern Mirkwood was the first update after Mordor. And that included, like, you know, Mirkwood, Erebor, Dale... And then they went to the Iron Hills in another update, right? And then they went to the Grey Mountains in a 3rd update before the next expansion came out. So that's 3 updates dropping at the same time, possibly before the end of the year. That makes me wonder how they're going to handle that. Because that is actually just thinking in terms of level cap. So the level cap went up to 105, up to the Gates of Mordor. Then it went to 115, didn't it? Alright, let's do a quick bit of Googling. Alright, let's go to the expansion content. Okay, this is actually on the Lotro Wiki, lotro-wiki.com. So, yeah, basically, right now, they are at level 100, because they did the same thing, actually, if you think about it. The various segments of Gondor, Western Gondor, Central Gondor, Eastern Gondor, all were released as separate content updates when the level cap went from 95 to 100. And then those were basically when during Helm's Deep they said we're not going to do an expansion again, and then and that was like in 2013, 2014, and then in 2017, like 3 years later, hello Mordor. So Mordor will take the level cap from 105 to 115. And then the level cap after Mordor release went from 115 to 120 with all of those all those non-expansion updates. So here's one thing to consider. The level cap doesn't have to be tied to an expansion release. 3 times in the history of the game, the level cap changed without changing the actual, without an expansion. That was basically, yeah, they did it when they added the first Gondor content, the Battle of Pelennor, which was the second major Gondor content after the first 3. smaller ones like pre-Minas Tirith, post-Minas Tirith, and then Where Dragons Dwell, which is update 23. So interesting. So it does actually track if they're adding stuff to the game to match the level cap rather than matching expansions directly. So theoretically, what we're looking at here, pardon me, is once they add Mordor and that takes the legendary level cap to 115, if they add those 3 areas from updates, basically Northern Mirkwood, the Iron Hills, and the Grey Mountains, if they're doing that all as one fell swoop, that would justify the 115 to 120 level cap. But that's a lot of content for 5 levels. That's a damn lot of content for 5 levels. And quite frankly, a lot of folks, once they get their stuff in Mordor and hit 115 and get the good gear, they could just go straight to, start doing the 120 content up around Scarhold and be done with it. So that's going to be interesting whether they're going to shunt Mirkwood and the Iron Hills off to the side on the legend. I mean, they're going to be there, but they won't be the focus. So that's an interesting way to phrase things. All right, and this is pretty exciting for our PvMP crowd. They have a designer who has regular time set aside for ongoing development. Basically, that means they've got a PvP dev again. Now, Vastin was actually not the PvP dev. He was just the one guy that everybody knew about was working on PvP when he had the opportunity. Is it going to be Vastin doing this work? We don't know. The fact that they didn't name this person means that they could have hired somebody new or they just reassigned some. Honestly, I'm thinking they didn't hire somebody new because the only jobs I've seen recently, well, there was a content designer that they recently hired, like in the past 6 months. So it may be that person, or it may be that person took over some of Vastin's duties and Vastin's doing it, but again, they did not name the developer, and I think that's actually a good thing. Again, I'm not a PvMPer, and it's not my bag, it's not my cup of tea, but for those folks who are, that crowd does tend to be pretty invested in their gameplay, which, everybody has their favorite, but they're also known for being very vocal about it. And I think one of the problems, especially with the LOTRO team, is when the community is almost openly hostile to what you're doing, no matter what you do, no matter how many times you're trying to please as many people as possible, you're going to piss somebody off. I think it's a good idea for them to keep that designer's identity under wraps, to let them get their work done without, people, getting a bit hasty. So they do say they want to address many concerns about PvMP, so definitely make those concerns known on the forums, as I know the PvMP crowd has been doing. And also they do that on Court of the Rings, and as long as they're not making personal insults, we let them say what they want to say. But the personal insults, no, not so much anymore. So if somebody's saying, well, people have been timing us out for legitimate concerns, no, we've been timing you out because because folks were being very rude about. You can criticize, and that's the thing, is people can criticize whatever they like as long as they're not making personal insults about it. Calling people names and stuff like that. All right. And so, for legendary items, their focus this year is going to be speed up LI leveling for players not at endgame and make our newer regions more appealing for people working on their items. So basically, to translate that is, they're going to try to help people get caught up better, or to make it easier for them to get to cap. And also make it so folks will be doing more modern content to get their allies leveled, rather than what was happening in the past, which was people were doing Minas Tirith content because it was the quickest way to get but they were complaining. It's like, oh my god, I don't want to run cisterns again. And that was really the problem, is people were complaining that they were having to do 105 content to get the best rewards to level up their LIs, when they would prefer to do more recent content, level cap content. And now that pendulum has swung the other way, and people are upset that they nerfed one and haven't made the new stuff quite as reward is full of rewards. So I think they're still working on adjusting that. So that's good. The fact that they're still committed to that. But one thing I don't see in here, I don't see a 100, like an overhaul of LIs. I don't see that in this thing. And yes, COVID is a nice excuse for certain things. Not, we're getting to the point where they can't excuse the lack of an LI overhaul to COVID. They've done some amazing things despite the pandemic, the work from home situation. They put out some amazing content, but the LIs need to be addressed. And they know this because we keep telling them. So it's not like they don't know, but that's the thing. Anyway, I think this is actually kind of cool that Sev does thank us for being here and their version of Middle Earth, and he acknowledges that they are stewards of Lotro, and it's something they take very seriously. And we remain honored to be. I honestly can't see Sev saying, "And we remain honored to be here for you." But anyway, let's do something real cool. I'm actually going to switch over to Bull Roar real quick and see if we can go see any Spring Festival stuff, because I believe the Spring Festival is live because people were testing the Red Maid. So let's go see if we can find the stuff here. And I do have Bull Roar loaded up here in the background. Let's go through the EULA real quick, which means I'll have to do it again later. And let's get this out of the way. So again, if you want to read the producer's letter, it is on lotro.com. Also linked in, I'll link it again because I can do that while I'm waiting for this. Boop. So one of the things is when I alt-tab out of the game, it goes to 15 frames a second and the sound goes weird. Alright, let's go into a character, and we're going to go to the party, the Spring Festival. I'll have a map for it. I will also be streaming later tonight right here, my regular Wednesday show, but it won't be Lotro related. The game does start with an L though, and rhymes with Elda. Gonna finish beating Link to the Past. And you're more than welcome to come hang out then. That'll start around 8 o'clock. Alright, let's see. I always like to see what happens with Hobbit presence on Bull Roar just for giggles. Okay, I don't feel bad. Alright, Spring Festival. Alright, map to the Spring Festival at the Horsefields. Alright. Oh, that's right, Hedge Maze. So, let's go there. Well, we listen to really amazing music by Mr. Bill Champagne because I'm up in Mistallow. See, actually I was in Lindleby because I was checking something out. Alright. What I was actually doing is looking to see if because they were talking about housing, and here's a couple of interesting omissions from the producer's letter. One, they didn't mention the new Brawler class, right? They also didn't mention the River Hobbits. They have formally acknowledged River Hobbits, but they said it would not be in time for Gundabad. We are expecting the Brawler to happen at some point. I'm honestly kind of thinking maybe they'll have Brawler to come with update 30 with the Azanulbazar content. Alright, let's go see what your barter items are. Alright, fresh rewards. And alas, we are denied no new rewards. You teases. I'm sure, however, that those who have item scanners who like to scan items in the DB could probably find the items in the DB, but we're not going to worry about it. So, alas, however, if you want to, Bull Roar is still up until tomorrow, I believe, and you can test the seasonal stuff. Oh, Bee's Big Business. This is the one with Grimbjorn. Urgh. And of course, this is Naruhel the Red Mate. You know what? Let's get a preview. Let's do this. I'm actually going to. It's level 10. We're gonna cheese it. I'm totally gonna cheese it. Let's make it level 50. And this apparently has no tiers, and it can do 1, 2, 3, and 6. So we're gonna do a preview of the Grimbjorn thing from the Spring Festival. Spring Festival again comes out next week, on the 18th, which is Thursday of next week. It's also my mom's birthday, and it's also 2 years from the day I drove to Massachusetts to put a kilt. Or was it 3 years ago? Oh my god, I think it was 2 years ago. Anyway, let us go take a quick look. I probably won't play through the whole thing. Grimbjorn is going to travel with his big bees to the flowering fields of Lossarnac to assist with the pollination efforts upon the meadows. So this was probably dated when Grimbjorn went south to the wedding at Minist. See? Ah. Alright, let's go. I'm going to do a quick thing. What's the other thing that... These dogs will never not... they mess. So we are down here, where the boat is, by the way. The boat to South Athelion. Where's the boat lady? Oh, she would normally be here. So we've got big bees. Those are really honking big bees. And then we got Sprout, Bud, Star, and Rose. The walking dogs. So this is a thing. What was the other thing? So Brawler class was missing from the producer's letter, as was mentioned of Ripper Hobbits. Can you think of anything else that was not in that? Okay, so we've got the current quest, we've got an optional and a daily. Okay. And honestly, I think what we're going to do is we're going to leave this right here, because I don't want to spoil it. Everybody can play this next week. So we're going to leave it here, and I'm going to get set again at 3 o'clock in an hour and 15 minutes. SSG's scenario will be on the official, doing a walkthrough of Angmar and some of the stuff that he updated up there. Like, hopefully he takes us through the Ram Duath, because when Professor Corey went through his exploration of Angmar in great detail, he actually missed the Ram Duath. It didn't have any cool architecture, but speaking as somebody who likes how the world changes, and the new stuff that Scenario and Bakata have been adding or updating in the game, it's really cool. So thank you for being here. Again, I'll be back later tonight at 8 o'clock doing my regular show, which is not LOTRO related. And let's go see. Is there anybody playing basically, let's go see. No, I didn't want that. Let's see. There are other folks streaming LOTRO right now. So I would highly recommend, especially if English is not your first language, go hit up any of the folks on this link. And if you find somebody you like, and give them a follow, give them a sub if that's the thing, and I will see you later tonight. Otherwise, I will be back for my show on the official Friday at 3 o'clock, or actually more like whenever Corey gets done with his show from 1. So be good. If you can't be good at it, and I will hope to see you later. Bye now.